The Pan-African Parliament has kicked off the process of developing a model law on climate change. Legislators drawn from different African countries continue to rally for tailor-made solutions to the climate change crisis, as well as climate justice and equity as a means to influence the climate change agenda in Africa.
Ahead of the Africa Climate Summit, scheduled to kick off on the 4th of September this year, African countries have been urged to honor their commitments to the campaign.
This position calls for ambitious and binding emission commitments from developed countries, adequate and predictable financial support for adaptation and mitigation actions in developing countries, technology transfer and capacity building, and a comprehensive, inclusive framework for addressing loss and damage.
In the spirit of implementing recommendations made in the previous summit, the Pan-African Parliament says it has kicked off the process of developing a model law on climate change.
The committee responsible in the Pan-African Parliament has started the process of developing the model law, and hopefully it will be adopted very soon.
They also called for the amplification of voices of the vulnerable who are most affected by climate change.
Within the Kenyan context, we want this message to go to the lowest level possible. And I'm happy that the Senate and the Kenyan Parliament and the Kenyan government has approved the FLOCA program, which is about financing locally led climate actions. There's almost 1 billion shillings that the Senate approved to go to counties in the last allocation of revenue act that the Senate passed.
Key on the agenda is the call for climate justice and equity.
And there was a study that said that Africa sometimes sells a ton of carbon at probably $10, while in Europe you will sell a ton of carbon at $700 or $800. So those disparities must be dealt with so that when Kenya takes carbon to the market, the same price that Europe gets in that market should prevail.
This comes as the renewed calls on big emitters of greenhouse gases to take responsibility for their actions. Serafina Robi for Prime Edition.